We've all had bad teammates in solo queue. It's inevitable. Lately, some of these teammates have been painfully awful, like Let's Play Splasher on Rainmaker with Respawn Punisher and Subsaver awful. Why is that? I think there are three primary reasons: the current player base, the meta, and the matchmaking system. Before we begin, there are a few disclaimers I'd like to give. First, I'm nowhere near a top player. All my ranks are in the higher S pluses and lower X powers, so that's where most of these analysis will come from. Second, this is an analysis on solo queue, not competitive. Those are two very different aspects of Splatoon 2 multiplayer. And finally, a lot of this is my own opinion. Play however you want, it's your copy of the game. Let's start with the current player base. Splatoon 2 is nearly 4 years old, and a lot of the original players have moved on, and a lot of the newer players have come to play, especially recently with Nintendo bringing back Splatfest and the announcement of Splatoon 3. Because of this, the overall skill level of the game has dropped. A lot of the newer players also don't understand the concept of weapon matchups, ability optimizations, and what to play depending on stages and modes. They just play rank for fun and put in whatever gear they like. And that's another issue I have. Now, I know I'm gonna come off as some overly competitive, sweaty tryhard, which, I don't deny, but there's a reason why Nintendo implemented 3 ways to play competitive multiplayer. You play Turf to practice weapons or goof around if you don't have friends, you play League to meme, practice weapons, or play with friends competitively, assuming you have friends, and you play ranked to show your skill and to rank up in order to face tougher opponents to keep challenging yourself. Or at least, that's how I see it. And maybe you don't agree with some of these points, and that's totally fine. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But you also have to remember that this is a team-based game. Your actions directly influence the outcome of someone's rank. Now, to call it selfish is a bit extreme, but people need to be more aware of the fact that they are not the only people playing the game. There are other people playing with you. Everyone wants to win, or at least should try, so be more mindful of how you play. Now, let's talk about the meta. And I say meta in quotations because you can technically do well with any weapon in solo queue. Just look at GG Gabriel Gaming, who got all X ranks using the arrow spray and stick controls. But in today's day and age, there seems to be a lot of recurring weapons that I see, and this ties back to the player base aspect. Remember, the skill level in solo queue, especially the lower ones like S+, are really low, and one of the biggest factors is due to weapon choices. Now, Nintendo has tried to balance out the game as much as they could, and I think they did a decent job. However, there are many weapons in solo queue who, although are technically balanced, are annoying and take little to no skill and are everywhere. You know which ones. Clash Blasters, the Blob Lob, the Tri-Sloshers, the Carbon Roller, and Splat Rollers. They litter the lower tiers. But why? Well, these are low skill level weapons that give big payouts for minimal effort. Now, I'm not saying the players themselves are inherently bad, no. But I think it's fair to say that playing something like Tri-Slosher requires a lot less aim and skill than playing something like H3. These low-level weapons barely teach the basics of the game and are very hard to use in higher ranks because they are effectively one-trick ponies. Weapons that are more versatile and require more skill do better in the long run because their skill ceilings are much higher and therefore allow more skilled players to play them with less limitations. On the opposite side, things like Roller and Clash require less overall skill due to their lower skill ceilings, which makes them easy to use for less experienced players, but put limitations on players that have more skill, since more lower level players are still sticking with these less skill reliant weapons even as they move up the ranks. They don't do as well because the rank skill ceilings go up, but their weapon skill ceilings don't. And it's difficult for them to switch to more skill based weapons because they require much more skill to use even at the beginner level. Compare the skill level to wield a roller to a splatter shot. Roller requires less aim due to the short range and its one-hit kill potential, and requires less movement due to the roller player often having to shard to get kills. Splatter shot, on the other hand, requires far more consistent aim in order to land all its shots, requires more movement and strafing, and is more aligned on positioning and understanding spacing in order to get kills and stay alive. Lower level players need to stop playing weapons like Roller, Clash, and Blob because they only limit their potential and do not provide the necessary skills they will need in the higher ranks. Finally, there's the awful matchmaking system. First off, the ranking system is garbage. The skill level difference between an S+0 player and a former X-rank S+9 player are enormous. The fact that these two can be in the same lobby doesn't make any sense. Even in X-rank, you could be a brand new X-rank player and end up facing a top 500 player. I know this because it happened to me. I know Nintendo has tried balancing the matchmaking system in X-rank, but it's acceptable at best and it's only applicable for X-rank, not the other ranks. Alright. Enough about the ranking system, let's talk about the matchmaking system. Ranked seems to have a very primitive matchmaking system based on what I was able to deduce. It seems the game will analyze every weapon in the lobby and attempt to balance the team based on weapon class, like shooters, rollers, and sloshers. The problem arises when you realize that even though weapons may be in the same class, not every weapon of that class plays the same. Take Sloshing Machine and Splosher for example. Sure, they're both sloshers, but one is a formidable frontline killing weapon, and the other is more of a back or midline pain and suppression weapon. But the game doesn't seem to factor this in when determining teams. So if a lobby consists of 2 sloshers, 2 shooters, 2 rollers, and 2 umbrellas, the game might split them into teams that look like this. Team A has a .52 gal Tri-Slosher, Splat Roller, and Undercover Umbrella, while Team B has an Aerospray, Explosher, Dynamo Roller, and Tenebra. Even though these teams are wildly unbalanced, they each only have one of every weapon class, which is all the game seems to really care about when determining teams. Now, this is only a theory, but after playing the game for a while, the theory seems to hold up as shown by this bizarre clip. I hope Nintendo worked on Splatoon 3's matchmaking system so that there are less instances like this one. Splatoon 2 is my favorite game of all time, but lately I've been avoiding solo queue due to how awful S+ and the lower X ranks are. I really hope that Nintendo will take more steps in developing a much more balanced and competitively minded solo queue in Splatoon 3, because ranked should be somewhat competitive. It shouldn't be a place where people go to meme or squid party. It should be a place where people are able to test their skill and continue to learn and grow. Hey, thank you for watching this video. It's been an idea I've had for a bit, and I'm really excited to talk more about the intricacies of Splatoon 2. Like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more. If you have any ideas for future analysis, leave them in the comments below, and maybe I'll cover them in the future. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.